let's go through the Battlefield community post. They put an update out since this early beta footage has gone live of the worldwide reveal event. Now, if you guys never saw my coverage from Call of Duty, I was just mentioning this, but I like to read through all of the patch notes, all of the information, so I can get a understanding of where the devs are at and what they're saying off the game, even if it, does it not reflect what they do. Sometimes I've taken breaks from it, but I usually just follow what my interests are personally and what you guys are interested in too, to a degree. But nonetheless, I want to read through the community update, open beta, and the road to launch that they just put out. And I'll try to continue to cover this as much as I can, and as much as you guys are interested, I'll put it out here too. But I always read these. I think it can be informative. So yeah, hello everybody. As we prepare for Battlefield 6 Early Access Beta starting Thursday, August 7th, followed by the open beta August 9th, we wanted to take a moment to reflect on our journey so far with Battlefield Labs, how we've adapted your feedback, and what you can expect for the future play sessions and gameplay iterations to prepare for before
a tracker
launch.
For today for the number of times Stone says we'll talk about that
later.
Yeah,
I talked about a lot of stuff later.
Emoji.
Listen, we got a lot to get to, man. We'll take a brief pause and I'm going to make a video about some of the highlights of what I'm concerned about and what I'm happy about. That I'm going to record that after stream today. So I got a couple more hours to get as much information as I can and input from you guys, and anything from the comments we'll read later. We'll take a brief pause from Battlefield Labs during the open beta period. Once concluded, we'll resume our commitment to feedback and continuous improvement through the program. Just to baseline us, Labs is a test environment that they've had. They've done the community test environment in the past for this game, where it's been essentially a way for you to play content before it comes out for DLCs. They're kind of doing the same thing, but they're doing it as Labs before the game actually even comes out. Anybody who signed up on that will also get access to the beta as well, or the early access to the beta, but both weekends is going to be free open beta for everybody. We're proud of the reception that we've seen with Battlefield Labs, and we'll continue monitoring and acting on player feedback and data as we continue to develop it. The next thing they're going to be adding to Labs, anybody who is in this can now talk about their experience from it. They cannot still post any footage from it, but they did allow people to start talking about what they experienced in Labs. I also saw a post from the community manager, so again, this is only legit information, that Battle Royale is coming to Labs. We will not expect gameplay from this, but they are going to be at least in Labs, so people will be able to test it. If you do get into Labs, you'll be able to play it early. Most likely not able to capture content on it or post content on it. That being said, most likely it will be leaked. Everything seems to be leaking from this game, but that hasn't been in it yet, so that's why we've never seen any Battle Royale leaks. Battlefield Labs feedback changes made for open beta. So closed versus open weapons. This was a hot topic before the beta even came out. This is the concept of, are weapons closed off, where a submachine gun is only available to the engineer, or can a sniper use a submachine gun as well? Well, in the current testing, they were saying it's going to be open, so anybody can use any weapons. You just get an extra benefit. If you're an engineer using a submachine gun, you get really good hip fire. That's your extra bonus for doing that. If you're a sniper, you get faster rechambering. You could stay ADS, like the straight pole attachment is by default on if you're a sniper. There was different things like that to give you an extra benefit for using the correct weapon. But a lot of people, especially old Battlefield players, said, no, we want it to be closed. We want it to only be accessible to that class, give that class more identity and a role. So they've said we were going to have both, was the last we heard. We recently shared our goal to connect both new and veteran players to the Battlefield experience. There has been an ongoing discussion about previous class systems, including interest in the reintroducing closed weapons classes as a playlist option. So that way you can play both. You want to play closed weapons, you can. To support different play styles, we're developing functionality that allows you to choose between closed and open weapon modes, starting with the open beta. So it's not even just going to be a limited time mode, a way to test it. Let's see what the beta thinks. Do people like this or that? They're just saying, we're going to have it for both. You choose how to play. We're going to have them for both. We're starting with a closed weapon conquest playlist in beta. You'll earn full XP progression in this mode, giving you freedom to play your way. So does this mean that they're not going to have both at the very beginning and they're just going to start with closed weapon? Choose between the weapon modes, starting with open beta. We're starting with closed weapon test at the beta. Yeah, it does look like that. So maybe they'll test that first. With the open beta inviting you to our largest play session yet. We encourage everyone to try switching between both systems to find out which way works best for you. So, yeah, they must have both if they're going to try both. Maps and modes. We've been closely tracking player behavior and traversal across the different maps played in Battlefield Labs, such as for the below image of Siege of Cairo. Using this and other data, we've identified several areas across maps that we've zoned in on and changed to better flow of movement and pace at which players traverse and fight each other. And this is one of the things I was talking to the lead creatives on this. He was so excited, dude. These guys were so excited to get the actual data from the event of all of us playing, and especially seeing what more players' experiences are like. You can see the heat maps, where do people go, what are the routes they take, etc. This is kind of sick to see. But this will then let them adjust and fine-tune it, whatever. So that's great to see. Obviously, they get data from labs too, but I'm sure there's going to be a huge uptick off the beta, especially. Several direct changes have also made to the layout of the objectives, including improved cover, adjusted objective sizes, and tailored designs to support balanced play for both sides. You know what was interesting too? I don't know if there's truth to this or anything, but apparently, well, I don't know. We'll just say maybe this could be a thing where you could even set up custom capture zones for the objectives. I don't know if that's in 2042, if there's even a way to do that, or to tailor and change the zone size yourself for capturing points and such. But that would be crazy, theoretically, if that was a thing. Who knows? We've also updated the visual look of objective boundaries and repositioned turrets across the map to further enhance gameplay. As we move into the next phase of map testing, our focus will shift even more towards refining these objective layouts and iterating based on player feedback. Expect further adjustments as we approach the final stages of development. We've also loved the fast-paced action of domination and has been explored. Have you guys been enjoying? Are you guys interested in the squad deathmatch, the domination? And are you coming from this as a perspective of a COD player or a Battlefield player? Because historically, I'm more interested in the big map and the conquest or whatever, but I am curious if this is actually interesting. If you are a COD player who likes domination and the regular Call of Duty gameplay, a lot of people are saying no, a lot of people are saying conquest. COD's dead. See, that's the thing though. Are the people that are playing COD actually going to come over to Battlefield and be interested in basically a domination but with destruction? Because I do think that is a very fun aspect of the game. Having the actual destructible environment, having the gadgets that actually mean something, not necessarily being based on kill streaks. They kind of have these squad bonuses, so it's kind of similar, you can call UAV in. Is that interesting? I'm curious if that's going to be interesting for an actual Call of Duty player, because they've never had respawns that fast. Playing domination, how fast you could spawn in, and being I don't know if you guys saw my gameplay on it, but when we were playing regular domination, especially on this map, being able this guy's on a roof, I just pulled out my nade launcher and blow him off the roof. Felt insane. But I don't know how interesting that's going to be for those players. Nonetheless, that's going to broadenly appeal it, because a lot of you guys were saying no, and I have a feeling a lot of you guys who are saying no are more of the Battlefield side players who are not. You're more interested in the conquest, big map, vehicles, whatever, or even being on big maps and turning vehicles off, turning nades off, and just having a meat locker situation. Diego, thank you for the gift, or for the $5 as well, man. Sure you go. Thank you for the 6-month sub in the page. So some interest. I'm seeing some interest, but a lot of people, at least that are here, interested in Conquest. Okay. We've all loved the fast-paced action of domination and have been exploring the best way to bring revives into the mode. The big thing right now in Dom is that you can spawn so fast, it doesn't really make sense to wait around to get revived. It's kind of a waste of time. A core element of Battlefield team play that we think really fits. After seeing positive feedback from players, we're excited to introduce reviving as a new mechanic, adding an extra layer of strategy and teamwork to the experience. So maybe you couldn't even revive inside of domination during this test. Did it even happen? What happens when I die? Too good. I just don't die. Or maybe I die so often I don't see the spawn. So this was me trying the LMG. You saw I hit some shots, and then it kind of, the suppression was happening to me there. You can watch the side kind of vignette a bit. But I started shooting him first, and even through the suppression, he still got me of the LMG because the LMG usually suppresses a little bit more. I'm missing some shots. I'm also moving, and when you move, that makes your shots a little less accurate. But you can see kind of my screen blur a bit. But let's see. So I just die. So I could have rezzed here, but I skip. I hold the skip, and then boom, I'm already right back. Look how fast that spawn is. It's crazy. Anyways, excited to introduce reviving mechanic. Okay. Weapons. Time to kill and time to death have been frequent topics of community feedback. With your input, we've balanced damage across weapons pool, and we're eager to hear thoughts on how these changes feel during the beta. We've also leveled up our weapon customization options. We've worked to enhance overall clarity to make the UI more user-friendly so it's easier to see which weapons synergize best with each class. These improvements are designed to help you make more informed choices when building your loadouts, ensuring that you can quickly understand the strengths and intended roles of different weapons. The way the customizations work in this game, too, I'm sure most of you have seen it, but you have a 100 points to spend on your loadout. You can use that to buy the 5 or 10 point option for every single attachment and get an attachment in every slot, or you could choose to have a really extended magazine on an LMG, spend 55 points there, and now you can't afford to have a suppressor, you can't afford to have a laser and an optic. You have to now start making decisions. So it's kind of like the Call of Duty Pick 10 system, but for weapon customization, and you have 100 points to spend. To further differentiate the classes and provide unique weapon advantages, we've introduced signature weapons. Selecting a weapon that aligns with your class now grants an exclusive advantage to that weapon that no other class can benefit from. Assault, if you choose the assault rifle, like the B36, kind of like a G36, gives you extra strafe speed while you're ADS. Snipers, better handling with the snipers, faster rechamber. Engineer has the submachine gun, super tight hip fire. Like you can hip fire like insano mode. So yeah, for example, no other class can utilize the sniper rifle as effectively as the recon. Exactly. The road to launch. Adapting and implementing feedback takes time, and while open beta will give you an early look at the class system, it's not the final adaptation. The other thing to note about this is that the weapons trees that we saw. So on the right side here, I'm playing support. At the end of my tree, if I make it all the way up to level 4, me working together as a squad, my squad mates reviving, I get all the way up to the squad bonus. They had this in Battlefield 4. This is kind of the next iteration of that. If you get to the top of it, which I just got here, you don't see me use it, but I can drop a med station down. I only used it one time and I didn't even notice when it happened. There's different specializations that the classes can also get. We only had one of them available to us here. So a lot of people were talking about recon. If you get a headshot, they cannot be rezzed. That is not a permanent effect. That is just because I got to level 2. The only time that happens is if you get level 2 within that specialization tree. But if you do a different specialization tree, which we don't have access to here, then it will be different. And we don't have all of that. And so that'll be part of the balance too. After the open beta is concluded, there will be more opportunities to shape the class-exclusive experience together before launch through the upcoming Battlefield Labs play sessions. Today, we wanted to give you a glimpse of the future changes that you can expect beyond the open beta, though. Okay, so Assault. While Assault has been... And this, I think, is where they talk about the change to the... I'm assuming, at least, they're going to talk about the change to the spawn beacon. While Assault has been recognized as the class for frontline medics and a favorite among Lone Wolf players, we're now placing greater emphasis on team play. The other big change I just want to note, because I feel like I haven't seen anybody mention this, is back in Battlefield 4, if you were an Assault, that was the class with the defibs and the med boxes. You were the healer back then. Now they've brought that together to where the support is the ammo and the meds. Before, support was the one dropping ammo boxes on the ground and refilling your ammo. They had the C4 and stuff like that. They've changed it now. Yeah, it was the medic, exactly. Now Assault is a way more Lone Wolf class, at least in the beta as we played it. We had 2 weapons. You had a heal, but it was only a self-heal with a stim. So you would stim pen yourself back up to health. So it's a very different vibe. And now you still have grenade launchers and stuff. You could kind of open up holes, but now you could now Assault is like the breacher. So he's got the grenade launcher, he shoots it, boom, blows open a wall. Or you had in this gameplay, I was running the explosive with a fire, which essentially was a stun grenade. It didn't explain it super well, but you would catch on fire, you couldn't ADS, and you're like, burning up, and you couldn't do anything. The stun was really effective. So in this gameplay here of what I'm actually running, I have the shotgun with no third weapon. I didn't use the weapon sling, and I was using double noob tubes. And that felt pretty good running that, especially on domination. Nonetheless, what they're saying here is they want it to be more of a team player role again. Back in the olden days, Assault was like the team player. The team player, dude. Between the meds and this was like the class that I usually was like Field Medic, Stone Mountain 64. You know what I mean? With the rework traits and gadgets, Assault offers passive squad benefits that encourage team play and provide stronger support for your squad. The Adrenaline Injector initially offered a self-healing effect, now clears and boosts resistance to flash and stun effects, enhanced tolerance to explosive and incendiary damage, and improves movement speed. We feel that this will reduce the self-sustaining perk and differentiate them from further from the support class. Wow. Wait, so this doesn't self-heal anymore? Clears and boosts resistance to flash. That is a massive change. Because this essentially lets you be a super lone wolf, similar to the old lady in 2042, where she could like self-heal super well with the stim pistol and then keep running around and drop ammo, and like you were just a lone wolf like playing by yourself. This is a nerf to Assault, which a lot of people are saying Assault is already way too good, especially being able to have two weapons. A lot of people are even calling for them to remove the second weapon as a whole. Dave, your face, also 3 months in the subbage. Jake is cool. Thank you for the subbage, which I will tell you, I don't know if I necessarily can, but I think it's okay. Some of the early gameplay that I played on it, you could have a submachine gun with an assault rifle as an assault. They restricted us in the gameplay that we got to play in the actual beta, where there was the weapon sling was only allowed to be the universal weapons, the DMR, the shotgun, or the carbine. You couldn't use the class exclusive ones as that third weapon sling slot, which I thought was already a good change, nerfing the Assault too, because this was the only class that I was playing during like the early gameplay that I did get to see for this myself. Anyways, this is a big change. I think that is for the best, especially if they do let you still keep the two weapons. We feel that this will reduce the self-sustaining perks and differentiate them from the other support classes. Still super cool, though, to like self-inject, increase your movement speed. You're immune to flashes and whatever, which flashes are only for the Assault class as well. That's a
lots of
Assault
people saying the shotgun is broken. Thoughts?
Yes, it is completely broken. And from my understanding, hearing from the devs, this was just, it wasn't intended. And it's easy for them to change the numbers on what weapon damage is. I don't think that's a big concern. Yes, it was definitely broken. It was definitely way too powerful. That's the gameplay you see me doing here because it was literally way too good. But I don't mind having a good shotgun as well, especially if it's balanced in with other traits, whether it's decreasing ADS speed or whatever it is. I think that's good. Elski, thank you for the huge $10 as well, man. Fubar, Ponty, Night Run, welcome to the squad. Thank you guys for the subs. Night, most recent sub of the day. Appreciate you. We feel that this will reduce the self. Okay, so Commanding Presence has replaced the enhanced mobility as a new signature trait as well. This trait speeds up capturing objectives for nearby squad members and takes you and your team out of the combat statuses faster. I believe that's what triggers like your self-res. If you're in combat, or your self-heal, there's no self-reses. But the big benefit of being out of combat for sure is that you can spawn on your teammates, which that is a very cool change, actually. I kind of like that. So if you're pulled out of combat sooner, then your squad can spawn on you sooner. That's kind of cool. We've also made a substantial change. This is the biggest thing, though. We've also made a substantial change to the gadget. So this is for the Assault class. We've renamed the Spawn Beacon to Deploy Beacon, and it's now part of the Assault class. So not only do you pull out of combat sooner if you've leveled up your specialist trait and how you're choosing to specialize in which trait you take for Assault, but they've taken the Deploy Beacon out of the Recon class and put it for Assault. Now, some people, maybe you guys would hate this because that is a divergence from the past, but honestly, in the past, when it's the Recon that has the Spawn Beacon, what ultimately happens is those Recon, and you guys could probably, if you've played this, have seen, you have a Spawn Beacon that's off in nowhere, off on the edge of the map, where this dude is just posted up with a sniper rifle. Usually me. All right, this is a self issue. It's usually me up on a tower, up out in the edge of the map with a Spawn Beacon that's not helping the objective, just so that you can keep respawning in the same spot without having to take a helicopter to fly out to the place that you want and then ditch the helicopter into the ground to explode it so you could just get in your sniping spot. Okay, I think this is actually a really good change. I'm for it. Yeah, I think gameplay-wise, this is a really good change. And by taking away their self-heal stim pen, they're not going to be as self-reliant. I kind of like this. That was one of the main reasons, though, that I was playing during my breakthrough gameplay during the beta. I was playing Recon was so that I could snipe, but also I was playing it properly in that gameplay. I was putting spawn beacons up to give my team a chance to spawn and push the objective. This might be even too broken, honestly. I don't know, but that is a sick change. Although the deploy beacon has traditionally been a staple for the Recon class, it hasn't been, and most of you guys seem on board with this as well. Can you have a sniper with an assault, though? You can have a sniper with a carbine, but you cannot have a sniper with an assault rifle if you're playing closed weapons. And if you're playing open weapons, you could pull an assault rifle, but you're not going to get the same benefits as the assault where you can strafe faster ADS, etc. Yay. Also, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the Mountaineers.
Any weapons you hope
Asky,
are
thank you for the
game,
5.
I want them to personally.
So yeah, we could talk more about that. They have most of the weapons that I would expect, and obviously this was just a test of it. Like the SGX is essentially the MPX. I forget what it was even called, but they essentially have the MP7 was the other submachine gun that was in the game. So I kind of also just wish they would just name these things what they actually are. I was hoping that they would do that, but like the AK is just the AK. The G36 is the G36. But it's the B36 in this game. Maybe it's because it's kind of future, a little different. I don't know. Anyways, although the deploy beacon has traditionally been a staple for the Recon class, it hasn't been without its challenges, often being used by solo snipers to redeploy in hard-to-reach places. Exactly. By moving to the Assault class, we're intentionally redefining it as a team play tool for frontline flankers and coordinating the movement. Bro, I think this is going to make Assault insane. And if you're just new to the game, I think we're going to have a lot of assaults. The deploy beacon has a finite number of uses per squad and will self-destruct if the assault player spawns back on it. That has been the case. So if you ever spawn back on your own beacon, you have to put a new one down, making it a tactical and limited resource rather than a persistent advantage. That is interesting, though. They're going to make it a limited number of spawns. I wonder what that's going to be. We believe this addresses the concerns around the assault being too focused on solo play. A completely new gadget is being introduced, the assault ladder. So we saw this during the trailer. If you guys watched that, it wasn't in the beta, though, so we haven't seen it yet. This versatile tool provides squads with access to previously unreachable areas, functioning as either a ladder or ramp, depending on deployment angle. Now, if it's a ramp, does that mean a vehicle could go up it? That's what it makes me think. But it'll make you just run up it as well. Then you don't have to go into animation. If you put it at enough of a slope, you can run up it and still shoot. That'd be crazy. Flavor, also, welcome to the squad. Most recent sub on the day. It enables assault players to lead not just in their squads, but their entire team over obstacles. Plus, if you have a nade launcher, blow a hole in a wall, put a ladder up to the wall. I mean, that sounds crazy. Yeah, assault still sounds pretty insane. The other changes they made. Engineer. We're pleased to hear the balanced feedback on the engineer class, especially in terms of their core role in vehicle gameplay and explosives. What was interesting is that the engineer, I don't think the engineer had a C4 in BF4. I think in Battlefield 4, it was the support class that had C4 because they were the ones who would put ammo down. They didn't have meds. They would put ammo, and C4 was the other tool they had. We've been closely monitoring their toolkit performance in large-scale battles and are keen to hear your thoughts on whether playing an engineer felt impactful and rewarding. I thought it was pretty good. It is a bit tough because you're limited to only a submachine gun as like your power weapon. That being said, you could bring a DMR with it, but you only have that one way to play it. Whereas Assault, it's like you could bring a DMR and you could bring an AR. You felt like you could do anything. But then, that being said, Engineer gets an RPG,
While
so that's your long range.
2042, I have seen the beacon in No Man's Land all the way back at the start and breakthrough, and it's the last stone lol. Smiley face emoji.
Yeah. So that, I mean, it makes me more optimistic. I don't know how many people are actually going to take the deploy beacon, though, if you also have a ladder and also have nade launcher. So that might be the other element of it, too. But if you're playing a mode like Rush, Breakthrough, or anything like that, a deploy beacon is massive util, and you get a lot of points from it, too. That was actually something crazy, too. The amount of XP you got for playing Engineer and repairing your team was crazy. You get your main gun. So Engineer's main gun is submachine gun, and it makes it so your hip fire is crazy tight. Like you could sprint, hip fire, and there was the SGX had an attachment where you could shoot while sprinting. Hip fire, shoot while sprinting, and it was really accurate, so it was pretty good. It wasn't like crazy because you still had to reload. They still limit the magazine size and stuff, but yeah. Support then. This is the class specializes in light machine guns. They drop a pack that's meds and ammo. Also, I didn't see anybody mention this, but when you go up to a support, you can grab health off of them. You cannot grab ammo, but you can go up and grab health without them having to drop it on the ground. You're still gonna be yelling at supports to drop their packs though, so you can refill your ammo and nades and all those things. Although I will say you might not. They're actually, you know what? There's a caveat to that, because if you shoot like your nade launcher, it actually just regens now. You don't even need the ammo pack on the ground to refill that. That's more for base ammunition for your weapon. Yeah, a lot of the util, maybe it depends on the mode, but I did see the util regenerating on its own. There was a cooldown for it. Maybe that was part of the specialization tree too. I'm not sure. We've actively evaluated this. We're focusing on a refresh rate of early supply crates and how we'll support the signature weapon buffs that contribute to the flow of the game. The support benefit is the LMG allows you to sprint at full speed while holding an LMG. It doesn't slow you down. We want to ensure the support players feel essential to their squads, both in keeping teammates supplied and boosting overall combat efficiency. And finally, the recon, we saw the opportunity to strengthen the disinformation and sabotaging component of the role. With that in mind, we set out to redefine one of the recon's training paths by removing Pathfinder and replacing it with Spec Ops, a nod to the stealthy, explosive focus class last seen in Battlefield 2. This is the path for anyone who wants to take the stealth function of their squad, providing them with insight on troop movement while quietly operating behind enemy lines. Spec Ops 0, so this is the beginning of when you first spawn in, you'll have access to this. Your base class training available from the start allows quieter takedowns, crouch, and prone movement. Hopefully not a full dead silence, although that could be the case here. Spec Ops 1, spotting nearby enemy gadgets except when sprinting. Interesting. So you can tag gadgets if you're walking? Just auto tag them? This is as you're progressing. You see in the right-hand corner here, as you're playing the game as a squad. So if Myth was out here dropping meds for us, this would progress my my specialization tree. The default one for Recon that everybody was using during the beta was if you landed a headshot, it would make it so they were unresable, which was actually kind of cool. I thought it would be kind of lame, but it was actually really effective, especially if you were on squad push, landing headshots. They couldn't res. It forced them, especially if they were getting rezzed up by a support medic. That was pretty good. So this would be trading that specialization tree off, and instead, and another benefit was as you ADS, it auto-spotted. That was the other one. That was, I think, Spec Ops 2. So the other one would be going prone takes you out of combat much faster, removes the spot on yourself.
Will there be a hardcore mode?
You will be able to, at least in Portal. I'm not sure if it's going to be official playlist that people can queue into, but you can make an official playlist probably off of their defaults. That's how we've seen it in the past. But this is interesting because this would allow teammates to spawn on you much faster. If you just go prone, let your team spawn on you. And if you're spotted, it takes it off you. That's interesting. In addition, the Recon class, and now this is the only one that they've given us information on what a different specialization tree would be. All the other classes also have more specialization trees. We just don't know what they are yet. The Recon class features an active ability at level 3. This is big. That lets you call on a UAV. What do we think about this, guys? The Recon class, if you successfully play as a squad, you get enough squad points, you will get to a point where you can call in a UAV. It's basically an ultimate. Yep. Each of the classes has one. They're not, I think this is the most powerful one. Like the engineer one was you can repair faster. It actually was pretty good, but it's very situational when you would actually use that. The assault had one, it let you hear footsteps louder, but it only lasted for a couple seconds. It wasn't too bad. Reasonable. You're a recon after all. Had it in the commander mode, right? You did. So they don't have commander mode back, but that was in Battlefield 4 as well. I think that was in Battlefield 3. I don't remember, but it was definitely in Battlefield 4. But it was kind of boring to play the commander. Bat, also, welcome back, second month in the subbage. Sounds good because it's a recon. The other thing that recon already has is a motion sensor. So you can put down that tugs on cooldown, and it'll give you intel where enemies are as long as they're moving. Now, there's a counter to that. If you're crouch walking or if you're prone, it'll counter the motion sensor. But if you're standing up, you'll get picked up on it. The UAV is also only a local proximity. You guys aren't as mad as I saw some of the people, the older, like the content creators that I saw talking about this. Some people didn't seem to really like it. And they were kind of mad at it. But it's a local proximity. And unlike in Warzone, like if you call on a UAV, you can never shoot it down. You can shoot these down. And apparently, I didn't get to do it, but apparently the anti-air, you can lock on with your anti-air and shoot it down as well. So, boring, the commander was a make or break. It basically never lost you a single game when you had a commander. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It's very good if you had a commander. I just stopped playing. It was kind of boring. I'd rather be on the field commanding my squad. Just looking at a map and pushing buttons and stuff. And I think they had like iPad support or something. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. That was my point. I'd rather play the game. Okay, so there's that. Marked position, further enhancing your squad for situations. Together, the recon signature trait aim spotting, which automatically spots enemies while aiming down sights. You'll be equipped to play out the intelligence and counterintelligence to its full potential. There's also a recon drone that you can call in. You can literally fly around the map and spot enemies with, but we didn't get to see that in the test here. So obviously a lot changing with this, even from that initial beta that we saw from the gameplay of the actual event. It'll be interesting to see how this fares once, everybody gets their hands on it and what else they change, but kind of cool to see them even making the changes from that and balancing it. So this is, if I was fully leveled up on the right side here, I'm only level 1. You can see as I'm doing stuff though, boom, I just leveled up. Launcher trained improves reload time by 50% for the launchers. But if I got that high enough, I could do a super fast repair was the benefit from this engineer specialty tree. But it looks good. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. Thank you so much for watching the update off this. If you guys want me to keep you updated on future updates too, let me know.
We'll wait
keep it rolling.
Further.
Big thank you for the second month. Also, sub the page.